And just like that, we are in Oxnard, California. Training camp 2024 in full swing as the Dallas Cowboys enter game week for the first time this preseason. Welcome in, everybody, to Special Edition alongside Isaiah Stanback and Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. We are missing Barry Church today. We're not back in studio. We're out here on the West Coast. And it just feels right now that the Cowboys are going back into a game week as they play the Rams SoFi Stadium Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. kickoff on CBS 11 and the Dallas Cowboys radio or TV network. But Isaiah, you'll be on the call for that game. I mean, what's the excitement level like going into preseason week number 1?
It's huge. It's the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody is looking forward to seeing exactly what product is going to show up on film and on the tape this year. So obviously there's a big change defensively with Coach Zimmer coming in. A lot of people want to see what has changed. Have they solidified that interior defensive line? Can they stop the run? What are these linebackers doing? Are they blitzing? There's a lot of questions that are going to be answered, and I can't wait to see it.
And then there's a bunch of new guys out there. You know, you got the two offensive linemen that they draft, and Nealon, the defensive tackle that they draft. They're just looking to see what these new guys are going to do and how they're going to feel, and especially that Mike linebacker, because that was a pain last year watching what Green Bay did, turn the page, and now we got Hendricks in there, the guys who's got a lot of experience, a lot of get up and go. So I want to see if this defense got some swag too.
And that's the thing, that's going to stick in the mind of this Dallas Cowboys team no matter what happens through the preseason. Once you get to the regular season, it's all thinking about the playoff success and the lack thereof from last season moving forward. And you talked about some of the questions that need to be answered. We got some questions answered on Thursday as the Los Angeles Rams came to town. It's really the one time this preseason we will see starters in legitimate live action. Now, no tackling. It's still thudding up at the linebacker, quote unquote. There were some tackles made throughout practice. It was a physical practice at that. What were some of your thoughts after taking a look at the Rams and the Cowboys on Thursday?
Well, the first thing that jumped out to me defensively was the discipline. These guys on defense, you can see the impact that Mike Zimmer has already had on these guys. When they're running play action offensively for the Rams, these linebackers were not biting. The defensive line was in position. They were not losing containment. Everybody was getting out to their positions in terms of their zone defense as well. And then the defensive backs were jumping the ball. They were being aggressive once the ball presented itself as an opportunity. It was really encouraging to see guys just doing their job. And in totality, obviously having success defensively.
You know, what I really liked was just watching our tackles and our guards work, especially the one-on-one work. They work our tackles over. And I preach to our tackles when they run passes. I don't coach them, I just technique, technique, technique. Tonight, Coach Solari is going to be saying, fellas, technique, don't lean, don't do this. And you know what? That has happened to me before. When I was young in my career, the first thing I wanted to do was just get out there and put my hands on somebody. That doesn't work. I had to learn to be patient and work with the technique. We didn't have Guyton out there today, so we didn't see him. Doga wasn't out there, so we had Richards out there. You know, and the first thing I hollered at him after he won his first 2 reps, hey, man, use your technique. He just looked over me. Technique, brother. That's going to take you through the whole preseason.
And really, the Rams did challenge those guys a bit. Like you said, Guyton was 50-50 going into the joint practice with the Rams because he's been dealing with an illness throughout this past week. He'll continue to ramp up, but I thought the practice got better for the offensive line as the day went on because that technique got better. Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, 2 rookies out of Florida State. Both guys were really successful early on. Jared Verse, he was a first-round pick for a reason. He was dangerous. I think the way that they responded, the offensive line for the Cowboys, as the practice went on, was an encouragement moving forward for Mike Solari and that Cowboys offense. So plenty more to come. I mean, that was the joint practice, but we still have 3 preseason games to get involved. There's 2 of the rookies for the Rams. What about some of the rookies for the Dallas Cowboys? Who's standing out on the field out here in Oxnard? More Special Edition right after this.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Reliant, official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
I would say it's a dream come true. You know, getting to watch this team work and then coming out and doing it myself and being a part of it feels really good.
Tyler Guyton, brought to you by Reliant, leading us into this segment of Special Edition where we will break down the rookies so far here in training camp. We haven't seen a ton of Tyler Guyton, gentlemen, so far because of that illness. But, Nate, I'll start with you on this one. Guyton specifically, what have you seen from him and how is he growing in his first camp?
He has nice feet. His redirection, man, is good. I mean, he's a knee bender. He can handle his business. He started out no pads, doing well. Then we got into the pads the first few days, did even better. Then all of a sudden he started slowing down. You know, people started getting into him a little bit. And the next thing you know, he disappeared with a chest cold. That's what's reported as a chest cold. And we haven't seen him since. It's been about 3 or 4 days. So we need for him to get back and start ramping up. What we saw up to that point was good. So now we need for him to get back and start ramping up and building up. I don't know if he'll play in this game. Y'all probably know more than I do. But he needs to get back and hurry up and get back.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Guyton, from like you said, from what we've seen from him, it was good. I mean, I second what you said in terms of his footwork. I like his hands, though. His hand placement is premier. Is right inside on the shoulder pass, able to grab those inside pads right there and control the man. The problem with offensive tackles a lot of times is they get handsy on the outside, as you very well can attest to. And once you get them hands outside, then those guys with the zebra stripes on start throwing flags around. So he does a great job not only with his feet, but his hands, and he's powerful. They're aggressive. They have some pop to it. It's not like he's slapping at these guys. Once he gets his hands on you, they're like vice grips. They're not going anywhere.
Good news. The expectation is that Guyton will play in the preseason opener against the Los Angeles Rams, so you'll get some good look of it there. But, Nate, like you talked about, he really only had 2 full padded practices before that chest cold hit, and he was out due to illness for a significant amount of portions of camp, still ramping back up to that spot. Speaking of ramping up, though, we've needed to see Marshawn Kneeland ramp it up ever since the Sam Williams injury. Do you feel like he's lived up to that expectation so far?
I honestly don't. I think that he's more of a D tackle than he is a DN.
Interesting.
So I believe that Sam Williams' vacancy is still present. I don't think that void has been filled. I'm not sure that Marshawn Kneeland has that quick twitch, nor necessarily the aggression that I used to see out of Sam Williams. So maybe that changes when the games show up. But as of right now, I think that there's still a void in terms of what Sam Williams left.
Oh, yeah, talking about the athletic ability, nobody's like Sam. So we can forget that. But this kid does have a little twitch to him. He does have a little get up and go. And what he's going to give you and what I desire is effort. And he will bring a physicality. I think as he gets to understand the defense and what his role is going to be, he will get more physical and more physical. And that is what we're lacking, that physicality.
I talked to a defensive line coach, Greg Ellis, earlier in the week. He talked about the bend for Marshawn Kneeland. That's one of the things that they're working on, that flexibility off the edge, because if he needs to get that quick twitch in there, he's going to have to find a way to bend off the edge. Now, Nate, quickly, tell us about Cooper Beebe. I know there were some struggles early on about the shotgun snaps. Has that improved at all?
He's getting better and better. And to watch him today, he looked nice. Mm-hmm. He looked nice. Sometimes his foot got a little planted in. But this dude, once he sets down to decide that you ain't moving, hey, he was one of the bright spots out there. He stuck closer to his technique, especially when he went at the guard a couple of times, better than most guys out there that day. I mean, he's not the Busher yet, or number 73, Smith, but when he's at guard, he does his thing.
He does a really nice job of blocking. You got to pair it with the snaps. Yeah, that's always tough, going from guard to center like Cooper Beebe is doing as a pro. Real quickly, Maris Leofau at the linebacker spot. He's starting to turn some heads. What is he doing right?
He is Lightning McQueen, okay? He is absolutely everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. He's flying around. He's having fun. He's yelling. He's bringing that enthusiasm, that juice. And you see him with the pops. You see he can't wait to hit somebody. And you can see that Eric Kendricks is really having an impact on his ability to be able to apprehend what's going on defensively.
He is speed. That's what he's trying to get to the second level at the linebacker spot, like what we've seen from Leofau. But is he a training camp podium member? Of course, the Olympics going on in Paris right now. We're going to give you our podium of training camp so far. Is Micah Parsons a part of it when we come back?
This segment was brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by the NFL Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan.
Welcome back into Oxnard, California. Special edition here from the West Coast. Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans, and we might be about 6,000 miles from Paris, where the Olympics are currently in full swing. But we do have some awards to give out so far in the first half of training camp. We've got our training camp podium. Let's start with some honorable mentions, and this is voted on by our entire panel going into the second half of camp, and it starts with Brock Hoffman. Of course, you talked about him a little bit earlier, the way that he is communicating, the way that he is taking over that center battle. He is our honorable mention alongside rookie Kalen Carson, who had a great camp practice on Thursday, the joint practice with the Rams. He had an interception. He also had a pass breakup in team drills. So Brock Hoffman, Kalen Carson, two guys that really needed to step up in training camp and have certainly done so far. So those are the honorable mentions. Let's give out some medals. We're going to start with the bronze medal. I don't think he would have been on our list early in camp, but Tyron Billy Johnson, the wide receiver, he's had a phenomenal camp. Why does he deserve the bronze medal?
Keep your eyes peeled on number 13 when this preseason starts. He is having a similar camp to that of Jalen Brooks from last year. Instead of that, though, I think his dude might be in the rotation with the ones coming up during the season. We'll see what plays out, but this dude is having a tremendous preseason camp. He's out there snagging the ball. He's running routes with confidence. He's getting in and out of the breaks. He's a big physical guy. Even in the run game, he's showing up and being able to show his willingness to get in there and get dirty with the big boys. I like him a lot. He's helping out Tolbert as well in this offense.
He's maturing. He's turned into a pro. He's been in the league, 3-4 years, and now he's always had the confidence. He's always been cocky. Now he knows what to do with that cockiness. That means catch the ball. He's been more consistent in doing that.
Yeah, he's been around the league a little bit. He's almost been on half, or actually probably not half, more like a third of the league. But you look at what he's doing at camp, he deserves the recognition, and he's going to get some recognition in the preseason if he can continue what he's done on the fields here in Oxnard. So he's our bronze medalist. Now it's time to award the silver medal, and that goes to Micah Parsons. No surprise here. He's still one of the most interesting pieces of practice every single day, and he's in the backfield quite a bit, Nate Newton. What makes him so special when he's on the field today?
He's explosive. He's best athlete on the team. He can do it all. He plays linebacker. He plays safety. He's just it. But I tell you what, these last 2 days, and even today against the Rams, he wrecked practice, man. Whenever he wants to, he'll look at the tackle and say, "Game over." Match set, game.
So you say he's the second most impressive? Is that what we're saying?
Second most impressive. That's wild.
All right, so the thing is, he's playing off the ball a lot more than he did last year. Obviously, in his Mike Zimmer offense, in Mike Zimmer defense, he's being tasked to not only play defensive end, but also to play a true linebacker position. So when he does get down there and put his hand on the defensive end or stand up end, oh, that boy's bringing all the juice.
He's been fantastic, and he is so fun to watch just day in, day out, doesn't matter. It could be a walkthrough, and he's still competing out there. That's what Micah Parsons brings. Now, our gold medalist, and I know there are going to be some split Cowboys fans, but it really isn't a competition. Dak Prescott has been as phenomenal as he's ever been in practices throughout training camp so far. Isaiah, when you look at Dak Prescott, what is he doing right?
Absolutely everything. He's playing with confidence. He's playing like a man that has a contract to play for. And let me just tell y'all, pay the man.
His decision making. Isaiah always talk about it. When we falter with Dak, it's decision making. It has been superb this game.
I think when we're talking about 4, I think our concern level is 0. He's been fantastic. He is leading this team like he has over the last couple of years. Fresh off of a second in MVP voting, well, he's looking to head that direction, maybe up it one more notch. But he's our gold medalist for training camp so far here in Oxnard. When we come back, we talk about our concern level over some of the hot button topics around training camp this year. Which one concerns us the most when we come back?
This segment was brought to you by the NFL Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan.
Imagine taking your tough love coach.
Got no choice. I mean, I'm saying that jokingly. He's doing good. He's doing fine. I mean, you know, my approach is different than a lot of other people. But I think he's drawn to it. I mean, he's accepting it. He's trying what I'm asking.
So the Cowboys trying out some new coaching techniques when it comes to Mozzie Smith, second-year defensive tackle out of Michigan. Welcome back into Special Edition. We are rating our concern level 1 to 10 on some of the hot-button topics around this Cowboys team. Let's start with Mozzie Smith. You expect production from a first-round pick. Didn't get it in 2023. Can you see it this year?
I would like to hope so, but hope is not a strategy. And right now, my concern level for Mozzie Smith is at about an 8.5. And the reason why I'm giving him that score is because he's coming in lighter than you would like to see him at that position, mainly because of the shoulder surgery. So he still has time to put on some weight, but he's also not that enthusiastic, nor is he having a tremendous impact from what we've seen in camp to date. So hopefully he's able to produce his preseason and turn into a contributor for this team this year.
Maybe it's just early in camp. Maybe the kid has no enthusiasm. And when you have no enthusiasm, you don't play with any consistency. Mozzie need to pick up his game. He need to understand that his purpose is to stop the run. And if you're not stopping the run, Mozzie, you're ineffective. So change your attitude. Be happy that you're here in the Dallas Cowboys football camp and be enthusiastic about playing. My concern level is a 10. Until I see better, that's where it'll stay.
What about Jalen Tolbert? I think the concern level last year was high. Where does it sit this year?
Jalen Tolbert doing what he needs to do. He's been very consistent in everything that they've asked him to do. He's hyper. He's not dropping any balls. Like what this kid is doing.
Yeah, he's at a 3 for me. It's totally flipped on its head. I think he's doing a great job of addressing the issues he had last year. Now we just have to see it in the games.
I think that's the big thing. You got to see it continue. He had a good year last year, and he grew as the year went along. Now you got to see it going into the preseason and, of course, going into the regular season as well. Let's talk about Trey Lance, Cooper Rush, the backup quarterback spot. What's that concern level like there?
Cooper Rush, I'm at a 1. I think you know what you're going to get out of Cooper Rush. Trey Lance is at about a 5. You just don't know what you're going to get right now. I believe that what he's shown in practice does not give you any kind of certainty, but he has 3 games that they're going to use him a ton, and he's going to have a bunch of opportunities to prove himself this year. 0
on Cooper Rush. You know who he is. Like you said, I have no words of Cooper Rush. Trey Lance, he struggles in the red zone a little bit. He struggles throwing outside on the move. So if we can just get this kid some confidence, they threw him away at the 49ers, but now it's up to the coaches to get him some confidence and get him some reps and get him up to speed.
Yeah, man, the preseason games are going to be huge for Trey Lance. That's his opportunity to show out not only for the Cowboys, but for himself and everybody else in the NFL at that point. All right, when we come back, what do you want to keep an eye on? Maybe it's Trey Lance going into that preseason game number 1. Maybe it's the tight end room, and some of those young tight ends have an opportunity to show out in preseason week 1.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Get ready for Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery, coming soon. Special edition presented by AT&T was brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Wrapping up Special Edition here from Oxnard, California, alongside Isaiah Stanback and Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll be back in studio next week. Barry Church will rejoin the crew, and we'll have some fun back in Frisco. But we've got a preseason game to watch this weekend. Nate, what's a position group to watch?
Offensive line. I'm telling you, we got to find out the 5 guys that are going to be up there. We got to get them working in one unit so that when Dak gets CeeDee Lamb back, we'll be clicking.
I am looking at the tight end position because as of right now, all we know is that Jake Ferguson is a dude. Outside of that, there's a lot of question marks. Luke Schoonmaker, last year's second-round draft pick, hasn't shown you much. John Stevens Jr. is coming off of an ACL surgery. And there's some new dude named Brevin Spanford who's been making a lot of leeway here. We're going to see exactly who shows up.
And Peyton Hendershot was not active in that Thursday joint practice against the Rams, so we'll see if he's even active going into the weekend matchup with the Rams at SoFi Stadium. I'll round things out, and I'm going to say these young wide receivers. We've talked about Tyron Billy Johnson. We've talked about Jalen Tolbert, but at the end of the day, everything you do on the practice field is great. but you got to perform in the game. You got to perform in the preseason. We've seen it before where there are these young wide receivers that show out at camp and then disappear in the preseason. Those guys are on notice for that. Jalen Cropper's on notice for that. Jalen Brooks is on notice as well. I want to see these wide receivers have some success. That does it for us here in Special Edition in Oxnard, California. For Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We will see you next week.